Since the emergence of the mass media, the media play a crucial role in diplomatic relations. On the one hand, they function as a platform for diplomats and governments to present themselves and their messages to the public abroad. However, the media is not the mouthpiece of diplomats, since on the other hand, it is the task of journalists to investigate and critically evaluate the wheelings and dealings of governments in international relations. In 2008, the use of digital cultures gained momentum, and social media have again altered the conduction of diplomacy, giving all actors involved a new platform to reach an even broader public without the journalist as a gatekeeper. The feedback function, in turn, allows individuals to respond to and comment on diplomatic developments. This two-way communication led to the somewhat optimistic concept of a democratization of diplomacy. The importance of social media shows in the fact that foreign offices are now investigating more and more in their social media presence. For instance, the diplomatic services of the US comprise more than 200 Facebook pages and 100 Twitter accounts. Besides using Facebook and Twitter, embassies create profiles on Flickr, Tumblr, YouTube, Instagram, Pinterest, you name it, where they post updates about everyday business, new policies, even highlights as well as warnings about crises in the country where the respective embassy is situated. Having looked on the bright side, we should keep in mind that there are also some doubts and pitfalls involved when diplomats and the public communicate via social media. First of all, is it indeed a power balance, or should we rather talk about a power struggle, about the prerogative of interpretation of events between the myriads of different social media users? Do social media really empower the public vis-à-vis governments? We will explore this in the following by the help of some current examples. The Vietnam conflict, which lasted from 1965 to 1973, was the first televised war in American history. This media coverage differed from that of the past wars. The Vietnam conflict created distrust between people and the government, provided war protesters with an audience and altered the perception of the American fighting man. American television provided what was essentially some of the most objective war reporting to date. During the Vietnam era, Americans received television coverage of the war that included both successes and failures. The perception of the Americans over the war changed with the Tet Offensive. During Tet, the Vietnamese Lunar New Year, the North Vietnamese communist enemy launched a sneak attack in South Vietnam against American facilities. Though American and the allied South Vietnamese troops won the battle, the television images shocked viewers who thought the enemy had long been contained. Earlier, in 1967, both President Lyndon Baines Johnson and the General William C. Westmoreland, the commander of American troops, claimed that things were going well in Vietnam and that there was light at the end of the tunnel. Americans who had never lost a war implicitly trusted the commander. Then, one morning, people awoke to television images of enemy forces on the grounds of the American embassy in Saigon. And the images captured by the news were in direct conflict with all the statements of success on the war. Walter Cronkite, the CBS News anchorman and one of the most trusted persons in US, famously predicted that the war would end in a stalemate, increasing the anxiety of viewers. Faced with his loss in public confidence, President Lyndon Baines Johnson soon announced that he would not run for re-election. Since there was no cable television, most Americans only had access to the three major networks, ABC, CBS, and NBC. These broadcasters reported that events from Vietnam in 3-minute clips each night. War protesters in particular strategically planned their events to receive as much airtime as possible. The Vietnam conflict was the first instance where protesters had the ability to state their case directly to the American people. How much of what was broadcasted was the pure reality, and how much was the interest for rating or of other groups in society seems to be a hard question to answer. However, the way the Vietnam War events have been envisaged obviously affected the image of US on both internal and external aspects. New technologies in communication and recent changes in media usage made it possible for civil society organizations, CSOs, to engage in diplomatic representations and communication with other actors directly rather than being required to have their interests represented by the diplomats of nation-state governments. CSOs emerged as another major category of non-state diplomatic actors, and the media played a crucial role creating this change. On the environmental level, one cannot neglect the achievements of Greenpeace. How the organization created public interest by using different media and forced global powers to implement new policies is fascinating. To name a few examples out of many, we can point out the fight between Greenpeace and Japan's whaling hunting fleets. After trying hard for years to attract public and nations' attention, finally in 2014 the United Nations Court of Justice has ordered Japan to cease its whaling hunting program. Another important success of creating public interest is the case against Royal Dutch Shell, the world-famous oil company who wants to drill the Arctic. Besides climbing the oil platform and camping on it, Greenpeace created a website where their members could create ads and criticize Shell's policies. Pressure coming from the organization's members, Shell lost one of its oldest partners, LEGO. Even if the future drilling plans are not completely destroyed, there is a huge pressure on the firm from public and private institutions. To listen to the hype about social networking websites and the Egyptian revolution, one would think it was Silicon Valley and not the Egyptian people who overthrew Mubarak. In Arab countries, many activists who played crucial roles in the Arab Spring used social networking as a key tool in expressing their thoughts concerning unjust acts committed by the government. YouTube's very own human rights channel opened with the slogan, "Film it, share it, change it." During the height of the activity, 100,000 views were uploaded from Egypt, a 70% increase on the preceding 3 months. It was observed as playing out in specific local cases with issues like police brutality, discrimination, elder abuse, gender-based violence, socio-economic justice, and access to basic resources. The problem is not who's telling lies and who's accurate. Media organizations are giving the part of the story that serves the agenda of their financier. So it's clear that only part of the truth is exposed while the other part is buried. Also, with the start of Arab uprising, states hacked into Facebook accounts and deleted them. This brought in the hacktivists, who launched Operation Tunisia, attacking state websites. In the wake of the Arab Spring, the world realized the potential of media as a tool for diplomacy and its capacity to change the political dynamics of a region. It also signified how legitimacy can be achieved among the global audience for actions that are happening thousands of miles away. Edward Snowden, born on the 21st of June 1983, is an American computer professional. In June 2013, the journalist Greenfield published documents proving the extensive surveillance activity of the US Secret Service, CIA and NSA, and revealed the surveillance program PRISM that had been unknown to the public before. Some days later, he conducted an interview with Edward Snowden, who identified himself as the source of the leakage and declared that he stole a huge amount of data about these secret activities when he was working as part of the technical staff for the NSA. The documents show that the Secret Service has been gathering data in a massive extent, both about its own citizens as well as on people and governments of other nation states without their official knowledge and permission. His applications for asylum increased the tensions between the US and other countries. most of which denied him the right to asylum as a consequence. When Putin granted him asylum, President Obama cancelled a visit to Russia, revealing that the relations were at rock bottom. From Russia, Snowden kept sending documents to Greenfield, which revealed that not only enemies have been spied upon, but also allied states. For instance, it came out that the mobile phones of Angela Merkel and Gerhard Schröder have been bugged since 2002. It damaged the reputation of the US as a defender of freedom and democracy on the global stage and created the impression that the US abuses its technological power to gain an advantage over other states. Crediting the Snowden leaks, the United Nations General Assembly unanimously adopted Resolution 68-167, a symbolic anti-spying resolution, to protect the right to privacy against unlawful surveillance, in the wake of reports that 35 foreign leaders were subjects of US eavesdropping. Surveys conducted by news and professional polling organizations originally found public opinion more supportive of Snowden outside the United States than within. Edward Snowden was voted as the Guardian's Person of the Year 2013, garnering 4 times the number of votes than any other candidate. Sometimes media diplomacy can be close to cutting off any diplomatic relations. A popular German TV show wanted to uncover a scandal, but in the end was the major part of it, initiated by the TV host and satirist Jan Böhmermann. The German-Greek relations has been rough ever since the start of the financial crisis in 2008, but it reached its culmination in March 2015. In the German TV show Günther Jauch, Yanis Varoufakis had to face a cross-examination by the showmaster Günther Jauch. Supposedly, during a conference in Zagreb in 2013, the Greek financial minister gave the middle finger. However, Varoufakis insists that he has never been given the finger to Germany. And then, German TV host Jan Böhmermann appeared on the stage. He claimed that he and his team has actually faked the entire video. It became a big debate, not only in Germany, but in entire Europe. Later on, the German TV channel ZDF emphasized that Jan Böhmermann's show is satire. By now, no one really knows what is true anymore, but that is probably not even the point. Jan Böhmermann wanted to hold up the mirror not only against the media itself, but also against the viewers and teach them a lesson. So in the end, maybe we should stick to Benjamin Franklin. Believe none what you hear, and only half of what you say.